For 12 years, her husband convinced her she was worthless, broken, a failure. Then, on one freezing November night, after she'd lost everything, a widowed father with 5 grieving children found her alone on a bench and chose her anyway. This is the story of a woman who thought her life was over, a family shattered by loss, and how sometimes the person you save ends up saving you right back. Before we continue, please tell us where in the world you are tuning in from. We love seeing how far our stories travel. Elias Ward gripped the steering wheel tighter than necessary, his dark brown knuckles tense against the black leather. The dashboard clock blinked 9:47 p.m. He was late again. The accounting firm had needed those reports finished tonight, and his 5 kids, quintuplets, all 8 years old, were with Mabel Grant next door. The elderly neighbor's exhaustion had been clear when he'd called to say he'd be late. He couldn't keep doing this. The streetlights cast long shadows as Elias turned onto Maple Street. That's when he saw her. A black woman sat hunched on a wooden bench near the bus stop, her deep brown arms wrapped around herself, trembling in the November cold. Her dark, coily hair caught the orange glow of the streetlight, and even from a distance, Elias could see she had nothing. No coat, no bag, just a thin dress clinging to her shivering frame. He should keep driving. God knows he had enough problems. But his foot hit the brake before his mind could argue. Elias pulled over and stepped out. "Miss, are you all right?" The woman's head snapped up, and Elias saw raw fear flash across her beautiful dark face. He took an instinctive step back, hands raised. "I'm not going to hurt you. You're shivering. It's freezing out here." Up close, he could see her better, 30-something with natural hair pulled back, revealing a face marked by exhaustion and trauma. Those hazel brown eyes stared at him with suspicion and desperation. "I'm fine," she whispered, but her voice cracked. "You're not fine." Elias kept his distance, voice gentle. "When's the last time you ate?" She didn't answer. Her gaze dropped to her hands, and Elias noticed the bruises on her wrists, red-brown marks against her dark skin. Something in his chest tightened. "It's going to drop below freezing tonight. There's a diner 2 blocks from here. Let me buy you a meal." "I don't have any money to pay you back." "I'm not asking you to." Clara Wynne looked up at this stranger, this tired-looking black man with kind, deep-set eyes and worry lines etched into his brown forehead, and felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. "Why?" she asked. Elias ran a hand over his close-cropped hair. "Because someone helped me once when I needed it. And because I'd want someone to do the same if it was someone I cared about sitting out here alone." Clara stood slowly, her legs stiff from sitting for hours. She swayed slightly, and Elias instinctively reached out, then stopped when she flinched. "Sorry. I've got 5 kids at home. I'm used to catching people before they fall." 5? Despite everything, surprise colored her voice. "Quintuplets." Elias's smile was tired, but genuine. "It's chaos. Complete, beautiful chaos." Clara hesitated at the passenger door of his car, but what did she have to lose? She'd already lost everything. The diner was nearly empty. Elias ordered coffee and a burger, then looked at Clara. "Get whatever you want." She ordered soup and bread, her stomach too knotted for anything heavier. "I'm Elias Ward." "Clara." She didn't give her last name. "Do you have somewhere to stay?" Clara's silence was answer enough. Elias studied her for a long moment. He was good at reading people, had to be with 5 kids who each had their own ways of hiding pain. This woman was running from something, someone. He should offer money for a motel. Instead, he heard himself say, "I have a guest room." Clara's head snapped up. "What?" "I'm serious. It's not much, and my house is chaos, but it's warm, it's safe, and you'd have a roof over your head." "You don't even know me." "No," Elias admitted. "But 2 years ago, my wife died. Cancer. Left me with 5 6-year-olds who'd just watched their mother fade away. I was drowning. Every nanny I hire quits within days. They all say the quintuplets are too difficult. He looked at her directly. I still am drowning, if I'm being honest. Clara understood immediately. So you're not just offering me help. You're hoping I might help you. I'm being selfish, yes. But you need a place to stay. I have one. No pressure. If you want to rest and leave tomorrow, that's fine. But if you're looking for something more, I could use help with the kids in exchange for room and board. It wasn't charity. It was a transaction, which somehow made it easier to accept. I've never taken care of children before, Clara said quietly. Have you ever been around chaos? Despite everything, a small smile tugged at her lips. Yes. Then you're already qualified. Elias's house was a modest 2-story home in a quiet neighborhood. Toys littered the front yard, a deflated soccer ball, a pink bicycle, chalk drawings covering the driveway. Sorry about the mess, Elias said, unlocking the door. I gave up on perfection about 2 years ago. Inside was worse. Dishes in the sink, backpacks and shoes scattered everywhere, drawings taped to the walls. But despite the chaos, Clara could see traces of love. Framed photos of 5 smiling brown-skinned children, a handmade world's best dad card on the fridge, a worn teddy bear on the couch. This wasn't neglect. This was survival. Mabel probably put them to bed already, Elias said. I'll show you to the guest room. He led her upstairs to a small room at the end of the hall. Sparse, a bed, a dresser, a window, but clean and warm. Thank you, she whispered. You have no idea what this means. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be loud. 5 8-year-olds wake up like alarm clocks at 6 a.m. After he left, Clara sat on the bed and let the tears finally fall. For the first time in 12 years, she'd spent an evening with a man who hadn't hurt her, belittled her, or made her feel worthless. For the first time since she was 19, she felt like maybe she could breathe. Morning came with the thunder of small feet and raised voices. Clara jolted awake, disoriented. For a horrible moment, she thought she was back in Mike's house. Then she remembered. She was safe. She dressed quickly and followed the sounds of chaos to the kitchen. It was a war zone. 5 children, 3 boys with neat cornrows and 2 girls with beautiful natural puffs, talked over each other while Elias attempted breakfast. Burnt toast sat abandoned, and he was burning scrambled eggs while refereeing an argument. Asher had it yesterday. Did not. Theo had it. Lila, stop pulling Ellie's hair. Elias looked up and saw Clara. Relief flooded his features. Good morning. Welcome to breakfast. 5 pairs of eyes turned to stare at her. The room went silent. These children were beautiful, all with their father's warm brown eyes and rich dark skin, varying shades of curiosity and suspicion on their young faces. Who are you? Asher, the tallest boy, crossed his arms defensively. Kids, this is Clara. She's going to be staying with us for a while and helping out around the house. Like the other nannies? Lila asked sharply. They all leave. I'm not a nanny, Clara said quietly. I'm just someone who needs a place to stay. Your dad was kind enough to help me. Why? Theo, suspicious and direct. Because I didn't have anywhere else to go, and your dad is a good person. Are you sad? Ellie, the quieter girl, tilted her head. The question caught Clara off guard. Children saw things adults tried to hide. Yes, Clara answered honestly. I am, but I'm trying not to be. Our mom died, Jude volunteered. That made us sad too. Jude! Asher's voice was sharp, protective. I'm very sorry about your mom, Clara said gently. That must be really hard. You're not her, Lila said fiercely. Don't try to be. I don't want to be her, Clara replied firmly but kindly. I couldn't be even if I tried. Your mom was special and no one can replace her. I'm just Clara. That's all. Something in Lila's expression shifted, the hardness cracking slightly. The first week was a test of endurance. The quintuplets tested Clara constantly, ignoring requests, making messes, speaking to her only when necessary. But Clara understood. She'd spent 12 years walking on eggshells, reading moods, anticipating needs before they became demands. Those survival skills, born from abuse, somehow translated into patience these children desperately needed. She didn't push or demand affection. She just showed up. Every morning she made breakfast. She packed lunches. Learning without asking that Asher hated mayonnaise, Lila only ate strawberry jam. Theo needed his sandwich cut diagonally. Jude liked extra juice. And Ellie wanted her carrots with ranch. When they came home from school, she didn't bombard them with questions. She just made snacks available and sat nearby. Present but not intrusive. Slowly, they started softening. Jude cracked first. Clara was folding laundry when he appeared, clutching a wrinkled paper. "Can you help me?" His voice was small. "Of course. What do you need?" "We're supposed to draw our family, but I don't know how to draw Mom anymore. I can't remember exactly what she looked like." Clara's heart broke. "Can I see photos of her?" Jude led her to Elias's study where a framed photo sat on the desk. A beautiful black woman with glowing brown skin and a bright smile, holding 5 babies in rainbow-colored blankets. "She was beautiful," Clara said softly. "Your dad keeps her picture here so he can remember her while he works." "Do you have pictures of your mom?" Clara touched the locket around her neck. "Just one in here. She died when I was young, too." "Did you forget what she looked like?" "Sometimes the details get fuzzy," Clara admitted. "But I never forgot how she made me feel. Safe, loved. That doesn't fade. Dad says Mom loved us more than anything." "Then that's what you draw," Clara suggested. "Not just what she looked like, but what she did. Draw her reading to you. Draw the feeling." When Elias came home that evening and saw Jude's drawing, his mother reading to 5 small figures on a couch, he had to step outside. Clara found him on the porch, shoulders shaking. "I couldn't help him with that," Elias said roughly. "Every time they ask about her, I freeze." "You don't have to have all the answers," Clara said quietly. "You just have to be there. You're doing better than you think." Elias looked at her, really looked at her. "Thank you for helping him. He helped me too." And it was true. By the 2nd month, Clara knew she couldn't stay without contributing beyond childcare. "I need to find a job," she told Elias one evening. "You help with the kids. That's not enough for me." Clara met his eyes. "I spent 12 years being financially dependent on someone who used it to control me. I need to stand on my own feet." She found a position at a local bookstore, part-time, working while the kids were at school. The paycheck was hers, her name on it, her independence. The owner, Nora Finch, took one look at Clara and seemed to see right through her. "You running from something, honey?" Clara stiffened. "Why would you think that?" "Because I did the same thing 30 years ago. I know the look." Nora handed her books to shelve. "Whatever you left behind, you're safe here." At home, progress with the kids was slow but steady. Lila was the only one still holding out, guarding her mother's memory most fiercely. The breakthrough came on a rainy Tuesday. Clara heard crying from upstairs and found Lila in her room, hair tangled, tears streaming, a broken brush in her hand. "I can't do it," Lila sobbed. "I can't make it look right. Mom always did it, and now it's all wrong." "Can I try to help?" "You'll just make it worse." "Maybe. But it can't get much more tangled than it already is." Lila hiccuped a laugh through her tears. Clara sat on the bed, and Lila reluctantly sat in front of her. "My mom used to do my hair too," Clara said softly, working through tangles with gentle fingers. Every night before bed, she'd sing while she did it. "What song?" Clara's voice was rusty from disuse, but she sang anyway, a soft lullaby her mother had sung. Her hands moved with practiced care, patient with each knot. Lila relaxed by degrees. "Your mom had curly hair too?" "She did. She always said it had a mind of its own. That's what my mom said. Lila twisted to look at Clara. She said my hair was special, strong and beautiful and wild, just like me. Your mom was right. When Clara finished, Lila's hair was neatly sectioned into beautiful twists. The girl ran to the mirror, touching her reflection with wonder. You made it look like when Mom did it. Your mom had good taste. Lila turned suddenly and wrapped her arms around Clara's waist. The hug was fierce and desperate, a child's grief pouring out. Clara held her and let Lila cry for the mother she'd lost too soon. I miss her so much, Lila whispered. I know, sweetheart. I know. That night, after the kids were in bed, Elias and Clara sat in the living room with tea. It had become routine, these quiet moments after the chaos. Lila hasn't let anyone touch her hair since my wife died, Elias said quietly. She's protecting the memory. I understand that. Elias studied her. You never talk about yourself, about what you're running from. Clara's hand instinctively brushed her wrist where the bruises had faded. I was married. My father married me off at 19, she said quietly. For 12 years, I lived with a man who made me believe I deserved everything he did to me. Elias went very still. I couldn't have children. I was barren, and my husband made sure I knew it was my fault. My failure. Her voice cracked. I finally got pregnant after 12 years. I was overjoyed yet terrified. I couldn't tell him immediately. Tears spilled down her cheeks. He beat me one night when we came home from a party because I smiled at his business partner. When he wouldn't stop, I told him about the baby, thinking it would calm him down, but he called me a liar. Her breath caught. I woke up in a hospital bed. They told me the baby was gone. That was the moment I knew I had to leave. Our family doctor, the only person who knew what he'd been doing, helped me fake my death, helped me escape. I ran here with the money she gave me, but I got robbed on my first day. Clara met his eyes. Then you found me on that bench. Elias was silent for a long moment. I'm sorry. For all of it. You deserved none of that. I used to think I did, Clara admitted. But your children, they've reminded me what unconditional love looks like. They love you not because you're perfect, but because you show up. That's what I forgot was possible. Elias reached across and took her hand carefully. She didn't pull away. You're not alone anymore, he said. Not if you don't want to be. Something warm bloomed in Clara's chest. Hope again. Stronger this time. The months rolled forward. Clara became a steady presence the children could depend on. The bookstore gave her purpose. Nora became a confidant. The children stopped calling her Miss Clara and started calling her Miss C, their own nickname born from affection. And slowly something began to grow between Clara and Elias. It was in the way Elias's eyes would linger when Clara laughed with the children, in the way Clara's heart would skip when Elias came home, in shared glances over morning coffee that lasted too long, in the brush of hands while washing dishes that sent electricity through both of them. But neither spoke it aloud. The first year passed, then stretched into the second. Clara's confidence grew. Her nightmares became less frequent. She started to recognize herself in the mirror again, not the broken woman Mike had created, but someone stronger. The children were thriving. They had become family through choice. It was Ellie who said it first, on an ordinary Tuesday evening. Miss C, you're like our family now, right? Clara paused. I'd like to think so. Do you want me to be? All 5 children looked at each other in silent communication. Then they nodded. You're our Miss C, Lila said firmly. That makes you family. Clara excused herself to cry in the bathroom. Elias found her there, his own eyes suspiciously bright. They mean it. You're not just someone staying here. You're part of us now. I know. That's what scares me. What if I mess this up? Elias reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, a gesture so tender Clara's breath caught. We're all figuring it out together. We have each other, that's enough. Their eyes met, and the air between them felt charged with everything they weren't saying. The shift came on an unremarkable spring afternoon, nearly 2 years after that November night. Clara stopped by Elias's accounting firm to drop off the lunch he'd forgotten. When she walked in, Elias was on the phone, but his face lit up when he saw her, that genuine smile that made her heart race. Elias ended the call quickly. You didn't have to do this. I know, but you've been working so hard. I thought you could use it. Elias stood, rounding his desk. They were close now, closer than necessary. Clara, Elias said softly, I can't do this anymore. Fear shot through her. Do what? Pretend. Pretend that when you walk into a room, my whole world doesn't shift. Pretend that I don't wait for the sound of your voice every morning. Pretend that watching you with my kids doesn't make me fall harder every single day. Clara's heart hammered. You love me. How could I not? Elias's voice cracked. You came into my life with nothing, broken by someone who should have cherished you, and you still chose to love my children. You rebuilt yourself while helping us heal. You're beautiful and brave, and I love you. I love you too, Clara interrupted, voice shaking. I've been so afraid to even think it, afraid that wanting something good meant it would be taken away. Elias cupped her face gently, thumbs wiping away her tears. You're not broken, Clara. You never were. You survived. You're here. You're whole. I was afraid, she whispered. For 2 years I felt this growing, and I was terrified to name it. Me too, Elias admitted. But Clara, I fell in love with every version of you. Clara reached up and pulled him closer. I can't promise I won't be scared sometimes. I don't need perfect. I just need honest. I need you exactly as you are. And I promise I'll never hurt you. I promise that whatever this is, it's real and it's safe. Clara kissed him. Soft and tentative at first, then deeper. 2 years of unspoken feelings pouring into this moment. When they pulled apart, both were crying and smiling. What do we tell the kids? Clara asked. The truth, that we love each other. That evening they sat the quintuplets down. We need to talk about something important, Elias began. 5 pairs of eyes watched curiously. Lila and Asher exchanged a knowing look. Finally, Lila muttered. What? Elias blinked. You two have been making googly eyes at each other forever. We thought you'd never figure it out. You knew? Clara felt her face heat. Everyone knew, Theo said. We had a bet on when you'd finally do something about it. Lila won, Jude added cheerfully. Elias looked at Clara, torn between embarrassment and laughter. So you're okay with this? Ellie stood up, taking Clara's hand. Miss C, you've been ours for 2 years now. Dad being happy with you just makes it official. We already told you you're our family, Lila said, softer than usual. This just means Dad finally got smart. Which is? Elias asked. The 5 children looked at each other, then back. That you belong together, Asher said simply. All 7 of us. But healing is never linear, and the past doesn't stay buried forever. 6 months later, Clara saw it. A news article online about Mike being interviewed for a charity event, speaking about supporting grieving spouses. Clara's hands shook so violently she dropped her phone. Elias found her in the bathroom, sitting on the floor, hyperventilating. He's still out there, she gasped. Living his perfect life, pretending to be a saint while I'm supposed to be dead. Hey! Elias knelt beside her. Breathe with me. You're safe. He killed our baby. He beat me for 12 years, and the world thinks he's a hero. Elias helped her to the couch and held her while she fell apart. When she'd cried herself out, he asked gently, What do you want to do? What can I do? I'm dead. If I come forward, I'm admitting I faked my death. I could go to jail. Dr. Morrow, the doctor who helped you, does she still have the medical records? Clara looked up, hope and fear warring. She said she kept everything, just in case. Then you have evidence of 12 years of abuse of what he did. Elias took her hands. Clara, you don't have to let him win. I'm scared. I know. But you're not alone this time. You have me. You have the kids. You have people who will stand by you. The next morning, Clara called Dr. Evelyn Morrow. The doctor still had everything. Photos of injuries documented over years, medical records, notes about the final beating. I kept them because I knew you might need them someday, Dr. Morrow said. With Elias by her side and a lawyer Dr. Morrow recommended, Clara did the hardest thing she'd ever done. She came forward. The media storm was immediate and brutal. Clara Wynne, presumed dead, resurfaces with shocking abuse allegations. Mike's response was predictable: denial, claims she was mentally unstable, threats of lawsuits. But Clara had evidence: 12 years of documented abuse, medical records, photos, Dr. Morrow's testimony, Nora's statement about Clara's condition when she started at the bookstore, Mabel's account of the frightened woman who'd appeared at Elias's home. The quintuplets heard bits and pieces despite Elias's efforts to shield them. One evening, Asher approached Clara in the kitchen. The kids at school said you were married to a bad man, that he hurt you. Clara's heart sank. She knelt to his level. Yes, that's true. Like really hurt you? Yes. Asher's young face was fierce. If he ever comes here, I'll protect you. Clara pulled him into a hug, tears streaming. You already protect me, sweetheart. All of you do. You remind me every day what love is supposed to look like. Lila appeared in the doorway, the others trailing behind. You're the bravest person I know, Miss C. We love you, Ellie added simply. And we're going to stand with you. Theo nodded solemnly. Even if it gets hard, Jude added. Surrounded by 5 children who'd claimed her as their own, Clara found the strength to see it through. The trial was grueling. Mike tried every tactic: character assassination, manipulation, using his wealth to paint Clara as a liar. But the evidence was overwhelming. Dr. Morrow's testimony was damning. Nora testified about Clara's state when she'd first hired her. Mabel described the terrified woman who'd appeared at Elias's house with nothing. And when the jury saw the photos, Clara's bruised body, the medical reports of broken ribs, the documentation of the miscarriage caused by blunt force trauma, there was no denying the truth. Michael Wynne was found guilty. When the verdict was read, Clara didn't feel triumph, just exhaustion and relief. It was over. Elias was waiting outside the courtroom with the quintuplets, who'd insisted on coming. They rushed to her, 5 bodies colliding in a group hug. You did it! Jude cheered. He can't hurt you anymore, Theo said. Can we go home now? Ellie asked. Home. Yes, they could go home. 6 months later, on a perfect autumn day, Clara stood in the garden she'd planted with 5 eager helpers. She wore a simple white dress, flowers from the garden in her natural hair. The quintuplets stood around her, Asher and Theo in tiny suits, Jude with a ring-bearer's pillow, Lila and Ellie in matching lavender dresses with flowers in their puffs. Elias stood beneath an arch they'd all built together, looking at Clara like she'd hung the stars. Now, as they said their vows in front of a small gathering, Mabel, Dr. Morrow, Nora, Elias's colleagues, Clara felt a completeness she'd never imagined possible. When Jude brought the rings, he stopped and looked at Clara seriously. Our mom would have liked you. She would have wanted Dad to be happy again. And us too. Clara's voice was thick with emotion. I'll never try to replace her, Jude. I promise. We know, Lila said, stepping forward. You're not our mom. You're our Miss C. That's different, but it's good. The ceremony continued with tears and laughter, and when Elias kissed his bride, 5 children cheered so loudly the neighbors probably heard. That evening, after the celebration, after the kids had gone to bed, Clara and Elias stood in their garden under the stars. "Thank you," Clara said softly. "For what?" "For seeing me that night, for stopping, for offering me more than shelter, for offering me a family." Elias pulled her close. "You gave us just as much, maybe more. You taught our kids that it's okay to love again without forgetting. You taught me that broken doesn't mean finished, and you taught all of us that family is about choosing each other every single day." Clara rested her head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat, steady and sure. She thought about that freezing November night 2.5 years ago, the bench, the cold, the hopelessness, how close she'd come to giving up entirely. And she thought about this man who'd stopped when he had every reason to keep driving, who'd seen a stranger in need and chose kindness, who'd offered her not just shelter, but a second chance at life. "I was so broken," Clara whispered. "You were surviving," Elias corrected gently. "There's a difference. I didn't think I deserved to be happy. And now?" Clara lifted her head to look at him, this beautiful man with kind eyes and a wounded heart who'd loved her anyway. She thought about 5 children sleeping upstairs who'd claimed her as family, the garden they'd planted together, the home they'd built, the life they were creating. "Now," she said, her voice strong and sure, "I know I do." Elias kissed her forehead, and Clara closed her eyes, breathing in this moment, this peace, this love. She'd thought her life was over that November night, but it wasn't an ending at all. It was a beginning. And for the first time in 12 years, maybe for the first time in her entire life, Clara Wynne was finally, truly home.